Words have, well, a weight to them? I don't just mean an emotional weight, but a real, actual, energetic cost. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating perspective that says every single word we speak, especially about other people, kicks off this invisible transaction, and it's one that can either pollute our lives with negativity or, fill them with peace. Let's get into it. So what is the real cost of your words? Seriously, we're not just talking about hurt feelings here or a damaged reputation. The idea we're exploring today says the cost is way, way more profound. It actually affects your personal energy, your well-being, and even the kinds of events that show up in your life. All right, to really wrap our heads around this, we first need to get a handle on a core concept, this idea of a hidden energy field that connects every single one of us. So the idea here is that we're all linked up by this invisible energy field that doesn't obey time or space. The very moment you just think about someone, boom, an energetic connection is made. And this isn't just some nice metaphor. It's described as a real channel, a real pipeline, where energy and information can flow back and forth instantly. And this is where the abstract idea starts to feel, well, real. Think about it for a second. How does a mother who's miles away suddenly get that gut-wrenching feeling that her child is in trouble? Or how can a bad memory from 20 years ago just pop into your head and instantly flood your entire body with sadness? The argument is that this happens because that energetic link is real, and the energy tied to that thought travels to you in a flash. So, if this energy field is real, are there any rules to the game? According to this perspective, absolutely. It brings up this really critical idea called the boundary of honor, or in Arabic, al-takrīm. Just think of it like a divine law that protects the sacredness of every person's individual energy. When we respect this boundary, we keep our own inner peace. But the moment we violate it, that's when a pretty destructive process gets started. And what's the most common way we violate this boundary? You guessed it. Gossip, backbiting, and slander. This is where that energetic transaction becomes crystal clear and incredibly damaging, mostly for the person doing the talking. Okay, let's walk through this step by step. When you speak negatively about someone, the very first thing that happens is you create that toxic, negative energy inside of yourself. It's like putting a drop of black ink into a glass of clean water. Now that new negativity has to go somewhere. So it pushes out your existing good, positive energy. And where does your positive energy go? It flows directly to the person you're gossiping about. Now over on their end, your incoming positive energy pushes out their negative energy. And where do you think it goes? You got it. Straight back through that energetic link and right into you. It's a perfect, instantaneous, and kind of devastating exchange. This slide just lays it out perfectly. The gossiper, they lose their good vibes and literally absorb the bad vibes of the other person, polluting their own energy. Meanwhile, the person being talked about gets an unsolicited energy cleanse. They get a free boost of positive energy and get to dump their negativity, all without lifting a finger. It's an interesting thought, right? Ever notice how sometimes people who are the target of a lot of gossip just seem to flourish anyway? Well, this energetic exchange is offered up as the reason why. And here's a really crucial point. If backbiting, saying something that's true but negative behind someone's back is like lighting a small fire, then slander, saying something that is a flat-out lie, is described as a massive energetic explosion. The imbalance it creates is so much bigger, and the damage to the person speaking is exponentially worse. Now, what's so wild is how this modern-sounding language of energy lines up almost perfectly with ancient spiritual wisdom. Turns out, the Quran has a very specific word for exactly this kind of non-physical transgression, and that word is ethma. Now, it's often just translated as sin, but the meaning goes a lot deeper than that. It really points to a non-material violation, an internal disturbance, basically a form of energetic pollution. Things like gossip and slander are the textbook definition of ithma,
because their primary damage is to our own inner energetic and spiritual state. To really drive home the reality of backbiting, the Quran uses this shockingly powerful metaphor. It asks, "Would one of you like to eat the flesh of his dead brother?" And of course, the immediate gut reaction is, "No way, that's disgusting." But the verse is implying that on an energetic level, that's exactly what's happening. So this isn't just some poetic, gruesome image. It's meant as an energetic description. Just like eating decaying flesh would pump your physical body full of toxins, gossiping means you're spiritually consuming the stagnant, decaying negative energy from the person you're talking about. You're basically volunteering to take on their spiritual garbage and make it your own. It's interesting. Some energy healers would tell you that a lot of negative emotions and energies tend to get stuck and accumulate in the abdominal area. So it's pretty fascinating that the Quran describes the consequence for the ethim, that's the one who commits ithm, as being fed something that boils in the bellies like molten metal. It really suggests this deep internal burning result of all that energetic pollution. So, we've got the mechanism down, but what are the actual real-world consequences of letting all this energy build up day in and day out? Well, the source material suggests they're pretty severe. Now check this out. This slide shows a really fascinating ranking of consequences from the Quran in Surah An-Nur. It discusses a case of false accusation. For the person who tells the lie, the slanderer, the punishment is described as the curse of God. But for the person who might have actually committed the sin, their state is described as being subject to the wrath of God. On this divine scale, a curse, which means being completely cut off from mercy, is seen as a way more severe state than wrath. So violating someone's honor with a lie is presented as an even bigger deal than the sin you're lying about. So what does being expelled from God's mercy actually look like in day-to-day life? Well, the source material suggests they're pretty severe. Now check this out. This slide shows a really fascinating ranking of consequences. On day 1, your body starts to feel heavy. By day 4, you might start noticing some tension in your upper back. And by day 10, it starts to really take a toll. You feel drained, weaker usually, and often even more fearful. And like we said before, the worst of it all is way up here. You feel like your prayers aren't getting answered. Your supplications seem empty, and life becomes this series of unexplained problems and constant struggles. And here we get to the most shocking claim in the source material. This constant pileup of toxic negative energy, of ithm, is pointed to as one of the deep spiritual root causes of diseases like cancer. The idea is that a body and a spirit that are just saturated with this stagnant, polluted energy might eventually have that imbalance show up on a physical level. Okay, I know, after hearing all of that, things can feel a little bleak. But the beautiful part of this whole framework is that it also gives us a clear, really powerful way to reverse the damage, to cleanse our energy, and to get that connection to peace back online. The master key is al-afu, which is an Arabic word for forgiveness. But listen, this isn't just about passively letting someone off the hook. In this context, forgiveness is an active, powerful tool for your own purification. It's the spiritual and energetic reset button. And the Quran frames this so perfectly with this beautiful, piercing question. Do you not love that Allah should forgive you? The message is clear-cut. If you want to receive forgiveness from the divine, you have to be willing to give it to other people first. The two are completely connected. And this kicks off a perfect positive feedback loop. See, when you forgive other people, you are upholding that boundary of honor. In return, divine forgiveness is sent your way, which actively washes away all that built-up negative energy. Then, as your internal world gets clean and positive, your outer world, your physical reality, has to start reflecting that. Positive events and blessings just start to flow into your life naturally. So the big takeaway is really this. The quality of your life is directly tied to how you energetically treat other people. If you want to experience peace and blessings in what feels like heaven on earth, the formula this perspective gives us is simple. Honor the sanctity of every single human being and master the art of forgiveness. In the end, every word you speak is a choice. You are either polluting your own world with negativity, or you're purifying it with honor and forgiveness. So the final question really is for you. What energy are you going to choose for your world?